What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily. So out of the entire new iPhone 12 lineup this year, I decided to choose the iPhone 12 Pro as my personal device. But out of the entire iPhone 12 lineup this year, the iPhone 12 Pro is the one I'd be least likely to recommend to basically anyone else. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that there's really no reason for this phone to exist as it does now in the iPhone 12 lineup. The 12 Pro is a great phone, but this year Apple made the regular, cheaper iPhone 12 so much better and closer to the likes of its Pro counterpart that it now makes almost no sense to spend more money on this phone because you barely are getting any more features or functions in going with the Pro model. Let's dive a little deeper into this, and I'll try to explain what I mean. First things first, the display. With their first quote-unquote cheap iPhone, the iPhone XR, Apple slapped on a low-resolution LCD display, while the higher-end models, the XS and XS Max, got a higher resolution OLED screen. Last year, it was a similar story. The cheaper iPhone 11 had the same low-end LCD screen, and the 11 Pro and Pro Max got the new Super Retina XDR OLED display. And for anyone who criticized the iPhone XR or iPhone 11, myself included, and tried to justify going with the higher-end iPhone, this was the first reason, and likely one of the biggest reasons, to do so. This year, the iPhone 12 gets the same Super Retina XDR OLED screen at the same higher resolution as this more expensive iPhone 12 Pro. It's the same display, the same viewing experience, and it's great. But here's the thing, if I'm looking at the exact same thing, but one costs $200 less, I'm going to choose the cheaper one, since there's literally no difference. If you want to get really particular, technically the 12 Pro's display has a higher typical brightness than the regular 12, 800 nits versus 625 nits, but the maximum brightness is the same, 1200 nits, so consider that for whatever it's worth. The main point is that I really and truly applaud Apple for bringing an OLED display to the cheaper iPhone 12, and the 12 mini for that matter. They absolutely should have done that, but in doing so, obviously, that eliminates one of the main reasons some people chose the higher end or Pro iPhone, and it's one less reason to go with it now. Interestingly enough, size-wise, this iPhone 12 Pro is also the same size now as the regular iPhone 12, but depending on who you are, that may or may not be a good thing. Apple made both the regular iPhone 12 and this iPhone 12 Pro 6.1-inch devices. They're the same phones, the same footprint, the same body, the same fit and feel in your hand. There's no difference. And if you remember last year, the 11 Pro was actually slightly smaller, 5.8 inches. In a way, last year's 11 Pro differentiated itself because it was smaller than the regular iPhone 11. This year, with the iPhone 12s, you're choosing between two of the same size devices, the 12 Pro or the regular 12, or two other vastly different sized phones, the Mini and the Max. Now, I'm not really sure what the answer is here as far as iPhone sizing. I just know that if I'm not getting anything bigger for the price and I'm not getting anything smaller and more comfortable, I'm once again just gonna choose the cheaper option, since the only difference is me saving money. Now, if you were to just glance at the iPhone 12 Pro, you can probably pick out some superficial differences with this phone's material. In going with the Pro, you get a higher end metal frame, a polished stainless steel, rather than the aluminum you get on the regular 12. And honestly, it looks nice for about 2 minutes out of the box, and then it's covered in fingerprints. But wiped off and cleaned, it does look nice, there's no doubt about that. Across the back, the 12 Pro also offers this frosted matte glass rather than a glossy glass, which isn't any nicer, just different, I guess. And that's kind of it. Design-wise, the new design cues, like the flat sides and boxy body, are the same across all the new iPhone 12s this year. And I do like the new design personally, but it's not unique to any one phone in particular. The whole rest of the 12 Pro, physically and feature-wise, is all the same too. You get the same wireless charging support, the same MagSafe accessory support, you get the same slightly beefed up water and dust resistance rating, the same new ceramic shield coated front glass that hopefully makes makes this phone a bit tougher. And unless you really like stainless steel and frosted glass, or if you're particular about the 12 Pro's colors, I guess, versus the regular iPhone 12, they're pretty different, you once again just get no real benefit of spending more money. Inside, the 12 Pro is powered by a 2815 milliamp battery, the exact same size as the regular iPhone 12. And while some people's battery tests have yielded slightly different results, myself included, with the Pro lasting a little longer, this is not a feature or difference that Apple really specifically advertises. If you want to say the 12 Pro gets a little better battery life than the regular 12 by perhaps 30 minutes or so of screen on time, fine, I'll let you have that. But I think that's a stretch. The reason I believe the 12 Pro gets maybe ever so slightly better battery life is because, and this actually is a difference for once, the 12 Pro has 6 gigs of RAM inside versus just 4 on the regular iPhone 12. With a little more RAM, maybe the 12 Pro can better manage apps running in the background. Maybe it can be a tiny bit more efficient, but performance-wise, especially in everyday use, that extra 2 gigs of RAM yields next to nothing in regards to speed. Apple has such a stranglehold over iOS and intentionally optimizing it to utilize whatever specs they give their phones, new or old, that RAM means practically nothing on an iPhone. And in this case especially, I don't know that now or at any point having more RAM in a Pro iPhone meant much at all. Furthermore, this 12 Pro packs Apple's latest A14 Bionic chipset inside, just like the rest of the iPhone 12 lineup. And Apple does this every year. They never put a more powerful chipset in a higher end or Pro model phone. Should they? I don't want to give them any ideas, but just realize that there's essentially nothing Pro about the 12 Pro from a spec and performance standpoint. Now, for the extra $200 for the iPhone 12 Pro, you do get something that is rather useful, twice the built-in storage capacity. The regular iPhone 12 starts at 64 gigabytes for $799, while the 12 Pro starts at 128 gigabytes for $999. And to be honest, that might just be the most useful thing of all so far. I know I can certainly use the extra storage, but here's the kicker. If you want 128 gigabytes of storage on the regular iPhone 12, it's still cheaper jumping up to that model than the 128 gigabyte base model iPhone 12 Pro. So we're pretty much back to square one again. You could get the same thing, but cheaper, going with the regular iPhone 12. So after all that, there's gotta be something the 12 Pro offers that truly differentiates itself from the regular iPhone 12, right? Well, yeah, kinda. The cameras are kinda different. Around back, the iPhone 12 Pro offers a triple lens setup, which includes a main lens and ultra-wide lens, the same as the regular 12, but a telephoto lens as well, which is not offered on the regular 12. Now, stick with me here because I have to just get this out of the way first. Regular old everyday pictures, whether they are taken in broad daylight, in dim lighting, or the pitch black night, look identical on the regular 12 and 12 Pro. And if you don't believe me, I have a whole entire dedicated camera comparison video already explaining this. The difference in capabilities is with the zoom. The 12 Pro offers 4 times optical zoom, utilizing that lens, and 10 times total digital zoom. And both of those capabilities are twice as good as the regular iPhone 12. Furthermore, the telephoto lens also enables a secondary portrait shooting mode. The telephoto lens is called into play, which yields, I think, better looking shots. And that's great if it's something you utilize on a regular basis. And don't worry, I didn't forget about that extra little sensor beneath the camera either. That's something the regular 12 doesn't offer. It's the new LiDAR sensor, which yields basically 1.5 new things. The actual useful new thing is the ability for this iPhone 12 Pro to take nighttime portrait shots. And this, in my opinion, is pretty nice. Again, if it's something you want to utilize often. The other capability, the half capability, is more for the future, I guess. Better augmented reality support, or AR, with things like apps. I think it's a little early to determine whether or not this is truly useful with the LiDAR sensor or more of a gimmick. Some AR apps certainly look promising and may have potential, but it begs to be seen whether or not this becomes an everyday tool. Now, there's also the matter of Dolby Vision HDR too, which on the 12 Pro is supported at 4K 60 FPS. On the regular 12, it's limited to 4K 30, and I guess there's that whole Apple Pro RAW thing too on the 12 Pro now with the latest software update. But here's the thing with those two features. I'm not a filmmaker or a professional photographer, and if you are, it probably makes more sense to maybe just get the 12 Pro Max, since that phone offers a few more bonus camera features too for professionals over this phone even. So I guess I'll call those a take it or leave it sort of a benefit depending on who you are. Now, after all my griping about this 12 Pro, after all my questioning of its existence, the question that needs to be answered is why I or anyone else would ever choose this phone. And for me, the simple answer is because I want it. That's kind of it. I know the regular 12 is basically the same phone at a cheaper price. I know this is not all that great of a value in comparison, but my choice was just irrational. There's no other explanation. Are there a couple genuine reasons to get this 12 Pro? Maybe, if you're a very specific type of person who will utilize those couple very specific features. But for a vast majority of people, 99.9% of Apple iPhone users, there is literally no reason to buy this phone. And I think this sort of leaves Apple in a tough spot. How are they going to differentiate these Pro phones in the future now? What can they give them that truly makes them a better buy for the extra money? A high refresh rate screen, maybe even more camera capabilities, significantly better battery. I'm not really sure, but I'd love to know your guys' thoughts about this. What do you think about the iPhone 12 Pro? Let me know in the comments down below. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys later.